Welcome, Gunrunner.
Hello everybody, Q&A the Laird here, and I'm back with a new episode of Laird's Lowdown for you. And this time round, it's going to be something quite different because the few videos that I've done so far in this series, which if you don't know is literally just me talking about something that's in the retro gaming news and giving my opinion about what I think of it and so on and so forth, a kind of vlog video, if you will. Yes, all the ones I've done so far have been like really big stories that have sort of been covered everywhere over the gaming news sites and internet and stuff like that. But the one I'm going to talk about this week, the subject I'm going to talk about, is actually hasn't really been covered anywhere. I happened to see it on one website, and actually that was because I was looking at something else. And you know where it's, it tells you sort of other stories that you can read that are there. It was one of those other stories. I thought, oh, that actually looks really interesting. Read it, followed some links from there, and the more I read about it, the more interesting I found the project. And I thought, wow, I've now got to do a video on this because it's just so fascinating. And actually, what it is a new mini console of sorts, except it's not a console, it's a mini computer. And the computer in question this time around is the NEC PC88, which probably seems like quite a strange choice for a new mini, given that the computer is fairly unknown in the West, although it was extremely popular in Japan. But you might remember that not so long back, they announced a Sharp X68000 Mini. I even talked about that on the channel. I think actually it was in the X68000 Facts video I did. I think I spoke about it, and I believe that's just been made available to order quite recently. Yeah, and I thought that was a really interesting project. So I did wonder if more things like that would follow. And of course, we have had other mini console / computers. I mean, we had of course the 64 mini and then the 64 maxi, which is just a kind of complete reproduction of the computer, but the mini was certainly a small mini version. Spectrum Vega, we've had the Atari 400 mini, probably most recently and most famously in the West, but this represented something a lot more niche and a lot cooler. And there was a lot of things that really fascinated me about this. So it's called the Passacom NEC PC88 Mini, or 8801, because that was the first model in the PC88 range that came out in 1985. So that's the kind of the one they're basing it on. And it does have some features that were on the later models, but the design is based on the original model, I believe. That's what they're basing it on, of the 88. And the 88 followed on from the PC80, and this is where it gets interesting because the people behind this actually already did two minis that I know nothing about before this one. So this is actually the third product in that range, and one of those was the Sharp MZ80, which I think did get a release in the West. Wasn't massively popular, but I believe it did come out over here. And the NEC PC80, so they've followed up the PC80 with this PC88 Mini, and it's a quarter size reproduction of the original computer with every single little detail, including the disc coming out of the driver's. I'll be putting pictures of it up in the corner up here actually, so you can see as I'm talking, so you get an idea of what it looks like, what it's about and stuff, because there's quite a few photos and stuff of it online. But I was interested to note that the first two that were done were actually done in cooperation with HAL Laboratory, who you may know did a lot of games for the NES. And yeah, I didn't even know they were still going, but apparently they were. But this new one is actually not doing it with HAL. They've decided to do it with Denpa. And I didn't even know they were still going either. But if you know your Japanese gaming, you'll know that Denpa are possibly the most famous Japanese games developer, because they released and developed tons of games, mostly for other. They did ports for other people, mostly speaking, but they did tons of conversions back then for pretty much all of the Japanese 8-bit computers. You know, the MSX, the Fujitsu FM7, the Sharp X1, you know, the PC-88, of course. So they made games for the PC-88 back in the day, and they're the ones handling this Mini, which I think makes it incredibly interesting. Because although obviously it's officially licensed from NEC, I should add, so there is an amount of officiality in that respect, but also the fact that it's a company who made games for the PC-8 back in the day are kind of responsible for this Mini. So I'm guessing some games that Demper developed will be on it. And speaking of games, they have said that there's going to be at least 10 games, but they haven't actually at the moment given an official number of how many there'll be, or what those games are. But it's interesting to note that the previous two Minis that they did both had 20 games. So I would imagine that the PC-88 Mini will also have 20 games. But I also noted that with the last one as well, they did make more games available to download online, which you could then add via USB-C. I believe that this one has exactly the same design, where you will be able to add more games by USB. Now, what makes this even more interesting is obviously you've got the unit, the Mini, so to speak, that you can just plug in and play via HDMI like you'd expect. But Demper are also going to be releasing a monitor that you can put on it, a small little monitor, so like kind of those mini arcades, I suppose, on your desktop. And they're going to be releasing a miniature keyboard to go with it as well, which apparently will be usable, a usable miniature keyboard. Although you can connect up Bluetooth USB keyboards, Bluetooth and USB keyboards, I believe, as well, like you could like with the 64 Mini, because obviously on the 64 Mini the keys didn't work, so you had to collect up a external keyboard. So I believe that's going to be a possibility with this as well. You can connect up your own keyboards, but how cool would it be to have a whole set with the keyboard and the monitor? But when I was looking at the images online this morning, there was no images of the monitor or the keyboard yet. It was literally just the Mini PC-88. But so cool to see. I mean, what an interesting project. I mean, I think it's fair to say that this is not something that's going to come out in the West. We're not going to get these because we didn't get the PC-88, and it means nothing to most Western gamers. But you know, I think there would be a market for these kind of things if they did release them, because there is a massive fascination with Japanese gaming and Japanese home computers, especially in the UK, but I'd say the West in general, and that's been proved by my channel. I mean, whenever I run an amazing facts poll where I put in a Japanese computer, the Japanese computer near enough always wins. There's very few times where it hasn't, and you know, that's been proved literally the weekend before this video goes out. I've just made a amazing facts video on the FM Towns. I'd already done the PC-98, NEC PC-98, which is important because I actually talked about the PC-88 in my video on the PC-98. I put the 88 in a poll once. Actually, the 88 didn't win when it was in a poll. So that's probably one of the few times when a Japanese computer didn't win the poll. I can't remember what else it was up against, but I certainly have included it in polls before. But I'll reference that PC-98 video down in the description, actually, because that's kind of important to this, because the PC-98 obviously followed on from the 88. It was backwards compatible, and I talked about the 88. I did a whole section on the 88 in that video, so I'll link that down below anyway, so you can go watch that if you want to. And what's the bets now, if you look at what they've done so far, that they will follow this Mini PC-88 with a PC-98. I would imagine that will, because they've done the 80, they've done the 88, so I'd imagine they'll do a 98 as well. Would not surprise me at all to see that in the future, and that would be very cool, because the 98 was a very capable gaming machine. The PC-88 not so much, but what's interesting was that the PC-88 was obviously a lot more game capable than the original PC-80, which was very basic indeed. I think it only had character-based graphics, the PC-80. The 88 actually had proper, you know, bitmap graphics and had sound. But they did release other upgrades like sound cards and stuff like that for the PC-88. You can upgrade it into a more important machine, and apparently the Mini does support all of those. And actually, in terms of sound, in the article I was reading, it actually says that you can actually just use it to play music as well. So you can actually use it to play those the music files for the computer as well. So that use the additional sound cards. That was interesting as well. Very interesting feature. I'm not quite sure how that works, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Japanese computers always do well. I mean, I've covered quite a few of them now. I mean, I covered the Sharp X1 on the channel and the Sharp X68000, of course. And whenever I do these, I get loads of votes. And the videos always do really, really well when I do these videos on the obscure Japanese systems. And I think a lot of reason for that is because we didn't have them in the West, so we don't know anything about them. And, you know, the sort of hardcore retro nerds like myself really want to discover and learn about all the different machines that we didn't see or experience. Minis like this could very much help with that. I mean, it would be very cool if they launched the Sharp X68000 Mini in the UK. If they did, I'd certainly go and buy one. And if they launched this Mini in the UK, I'd certainly go and buy one. So what do you think? Would you go and buy a PC88 Mini? Do you think this is a project that they should bring to the West? And what do you think about it in general? I always love to hear your thoughts. I mean, this is quite a short one for me, but I just thought it was a really interesting piece of, you know, news that I wanted to get out there, because I don't think it's been reported very much, and hopefully you know, this might get a bit more attention. I will actually link the article on the Japanese site called Game Watch, where it was first reported. I'll link that down in the description, because you can go online and read it in English. That is possible, so you might want to look at that. And all of the images that I've used in this video came from that site as well, so credit to them for those. But that's it. Let me know what you think, as always. And I've been the Laird, and I thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again for another video very soon. Bye bye.